Hello and welcome to YNWA Transfer News, your ultimate source for all Liverpool FC transfer news. Our first news is this.
Liverpool made priority abundantly clear after granting Luis Diaz transfer wish. Liverpool opted not to seek a direct replacement for Luis Diaz when he bid farewell to Anfield this summer. With the club eager to pave the way for young talent YNWA, Colombian star Diaz decided to end his stint with the Reds during the summer, signing with Bayern Munich and leaving a significant gap in his wake. His impact in the final third was well recognized during his time on Merseyside, the trait he has carried over to the German powerhouse, despite splashing out significantly in the summer. Liverpool's decision not to pursue a like-for-like replacement for Diaz, which some have labeled as an error, was driven by a desire to provide YNWA with opportunities. According to The Times, Diaz, who transferred from Porto in 2022, expressed a desire to leave Liverpool around 18 months ago. It was only after a persuasive conversation with club chief Richard Hughes that he decided to stay. However, with his contract nearing its end, his departure became inevitable. Liverpool managed to secure a big fee for a player who was 28, a move the club viewed as sound business. The decision was then made to create a situation where YNWA, a recent acquisition from Chelsea, could see a clear path to the first team. The Reds did contemplate pursuing Lions' Malik Fofana, who netted 11 goals in 41 appearances for the French side last season. However, the ultimate decision was to look internally for someone to fill the void left by Diaz. The Colombian has been a standout performer for a Bayern side that have only dropped points into matches this season. In the Champions League, Diaz netted twice to defeat reigning European champions PSG in Paris, contributing to his 11-goal tally this term and making him the team's second highest scorer behind Harry Kane as they rule the roost in the Bundesliga. Liverpool, on the other hand, have found the going tough following their summer overhaul, particularly in their attacking lineup. The Reds have suffered 9 defeats in their last 12 outings, despite starting the season on a high note. Included in their 5-match winning streak was a thrilling 3-2 victory at Newcastle, sealed by a dramatic stoppage time winner from YNWA. Arne Slot reflected on that moment, saying, "It was a great goal for a 16-year-old. Rio can finish so well for his age. I did hear someone say afterwards in the dressing room that he would have taken a first touch, but he is so confident. For his age, he is a really good finisher." Liverpool chief disagrees with Roy Keane amid ongoing crisis under Arne Slot. Liverpool can still win the league despite their dire season so far. According to a Reds chief, the Merseysiders have endured a woeful second campaign under Arne Slot. They sit 13th in the Premier League, having lost 6 of their opening 12 league games ahead of Sunday afternoon's visit to West Ham. Should results go against them, Liverpool could find themselves 14 points behind league leaders Arsenal come the end of the weekend. Despite that, there is still belief behind the scenes at Anfield that the season could be turned around and be successful. As per The Times, one senior club figure believes that Liverpool could still finish top. There is apparently patience at the club and a willingness to give Slot time to turn things around. The club's view of the Dutchman has not changed, while he has the same standing with his employers as to when he led the club to the Premier League title last season. The claim that Liverpool could still win the league disagrees with Roy Keane's withering view of the Reds, speaking after their defeat against Manchester City earlier this month. The Manchester United icon claimed that Slot's side were already out of the race for the Premier League crown. He said, "At this moment in time, you can't be considering Liverpool for the league title. I think it is crisis time for Liverpool. We know they can be beaten at Man City. We know it's a tough place to come, and Man City, the signs are they are obviously getting back to the very best. But to lose 7 in 10 and 5 league losses already this season, it has to be a crisis for a club like Liverpool." Slot has already revealed that he has held talks with Liverpool chiefs regarding their run of form, but assured that it was nothing out of the ordinary. Speaking in a press conference ahead of this weekend's game, he said, "We've had the same conversations as we've had since I'm here. Not sure if I said it last night, but we fight on. We try to improve, that's what we all try. But the conversations have been the same as they've been for the past 1.5 years, following their clash with West Ham." Liverpool then welcome Sunderland to Anfield in midweek ahead of next weekend's trip to Ellen Road to take on struggling Leeds United. Liverpool handed Marc Guehi transfer alternative after Arne Slot names defensive issues. Arne Slot has been told who he should turn to help fix Liverpool's problems at the back. The Reds have often been praised in recent campaigns for boasting one of the strongest backlines in world football, with Virgil van Dijk and Ibrahima Konate central to their success. However, this season even the Liverpool captain has struggled. Following Saturday's results, Slot's side sit 13th in the table with a -2-goal difference. This is a stark contrast to the club's past 2 seasons, where they produced a combined goal difference of +90. Questions are now being asked of Slot's defensive approach, as Liverpool have suffered 3 straight defeats, each by a 3-goal margin. Jamie Carragher has already urged the club to spend in the January transfer window, and former Reds goalkeeper Brad Friedel has also suggested who Slot should bring in to stabilize his backline. Speaking to online Slot site TalkSport, he said, "Alessandro Bastoni would be my option, but if Liverpool can re-enter the race for Guehi, they absolutely should. He'd be perfect because he already knows the Premier League. Buying from abroad always carries the risk that a player takes months to adapt, especially for centre-backs. Guehi is already proven in the league, which is why I'd pull out all the stops for him." Slot shared the same idea as Friedel over the summer. Guehi had in fact agreed a £35 million deal with the Premier League champions and was undergoing his medical when the transfer was suddenly halted. Crystal Palace chairman Steve Parish pulled the plug as the FA Cup holders struggled to find a replacement in time. Although it was a blow for Slot at the time, it now means he could secure the 25-year-old for free when his contract expires in the summer. Liverpool are also reportedly preparing a bid for Bastoni. The Inter Milan defender has established himself as one of Europe's top centre-backs, and the Reds are said to be lining up an offer in the region of £88 million. According to Mundo Deportivo, a January move has not been ruled out, but a summer switch appears more realistic. It would be another expensive signing for Liverpool, but one they may desperately need in their current state. When asked whether he needs to shake up his starting sheet, Slot responded, "Is the question should I change dramatically? If, for example, you want another system with 5 defenders, that could be an issue. I don't even have 5 defenders. It suits the players best, the system we are playing now. They have played this system probably throughout their whole career, and there is hardly any training time for us, so it is almost impossible to change our complete idea about football if we play every 2 days." West Ham vs Liverpool. Liv, Ekatike and Wirtz injury latest. TV channel, stream. Early team news. Liverpool is back in Premier League action with a visit to West Ham United today. And after losing 9 of its last 12 games in all competitions, the fixture has taken on extra significance. Midweek, the Reds were hammered at home against PSV with a second-half collapse. Results and performances like that mean Slot is under pressure to turn things around soon. In the league, Liverpool is looking to end a run of 3-0 defeats, having lost to Manchester City and Nottingham Forest by that scoreline. But Slot cut a relaxed figure in his pre-match press conference on Thursday. "We've had the same conversations as we've had since I'm here," he said of chats with sporting director Richard Hughes. "I'm not sure if I said it on Wednesday, but we fight on. We try to improve. That's what we all try. But the conversations have been the same as they've been for the past 1.5 years. How to watch West Ham versus Liverpool. After 9 defeats in the last 12 games in all competitions for Liverpool, Arne Slot will be well aware that his position will eventually become untenable if the situation doesn't change. The London Stadium is the next stage on which Liverpool will aim to find some form. Liverpool players accused of showing lack of fight amid terrible run of form. Since the end of September, defending Premier League champions Liverpool have been in a state of disarray. Arne Slot's side have lost 9 of their last 12 matches across all competitions, with their previous 3 defeats seeing an aggregate scoreline of 10-1, 4-1 versus PSV, 3-0 each versus Nottingham Forest and Man City. This form has seen Liverpool drop to 13th in the Premier League table. It has also led to strong speculation on the future of Slot, with replacements said to have already been lined up by Anfield officials. Pressure builds on Arne Slot as players' accusations leveled. As per Football Insider, Peter Rourke has accused Liverpool's players of showing a lack of desire in recent weeks. Slot said after the defeat to PSV, he feels he still has the backing of the Liverpool hierarchy, but no doubt he is fighting for his job. He's presiding over the worst run for Liverpool in 71 years, with 3 big consecutive losses by a margin of 3 goals or more. It's been a real worrying time for Liverpool and especially Arne Slot. You'd have to even raise question marks about the heart and desire of the team right now as well. It seems there's a lack of fight amongst the players, which is hard to see. It just looks like confidence has evaporated from the team, and it seems like it's filtering through to the supporters as well, who are losing a bit of confidence in Slot and the players. Do Liverpool need to sack Arne Slot before it's too late? Despite their dreadful run of form, Liverpool are only 4 points away from the Premier League top 4, and they have a game in hand versus West Ham on Sunday. They are still in a good position, but if their form fails to pick up over the coming weeks, it would be no surprise to see a new manager brought in to save their season. Next news: 10 players could miss West Ham versus Liverpool as Arne Slot faces big decisions. Liverpool is hoping to see the return of several key players from injury as it prepares to take on West Ham United in the Premier League this weekend. The Reds will be making their way to the London Stadium on Sunday, aiming to put an end to a disappointing run of form. It's been a bleak season for Arne Slot, with Liverpool currently enduring its worst spell in over 70 years, having suffered defeat in 9 of its last 12 matches across all competitions. Consequently, the club finds itself languishing in 13th place in the Premier League standings, with its chances of defending the title it secured in May long having dwindled. To add insult to injury, Liverpool has had to contend with injuries to several key players for much of the season, and it appears this trend will continue into Sunday. As many as 10 players across both sides could be absent. Several players are uncertain for this weekend's match. Hugo Ekitike managed 61 minutes against PSV Eindhoven in Liverpool's midweek Champions League encounter, before being substituted due to a back injury. The Frenchman has outshone Marc Guehi, signing Alexander Isak this season, and his absence could be keenly felt if he is unavailable for the West Ham game. However, if Slot's remarks following the PSV match are anything to go by, then he may well be fit to participate. Speaking on Thursday, the head coach said, "They don't expect that it has to be a big issue. But the games come fast, so let's see for the weekend. But it shouldn't have to be a big issue." Meanwhile, Alisson Becker made his return from a hamstring problem last weekend and then missed the PSV match through illness. He, however, is expected to be fine here. Florian Wirtz sustained an injury while representing Germany on international duty earlier this month, though his recovery is thought to be close to completion, and the attacking midfielder could feature. Nevertheless, several other members of Slot's squad have been completely ruled out. Jeremy Frimpong suffered a thigh injury in October during Liverpool's 5-1 demolition of Eintracht Frankfurt, and isn't anticipated to return until mid-December. Conor Bradley hasn't appeared for his club since picking up a problem during the November international break with Northern Ireland. He is also expected to remain unavailable until next month. Giovanni Leoni will miss the entire campaign following an ACL injury sustained against Southampton in September. Discussing the centre-back in September, Slot said, "He is not in a good place because he tore his ACL, which means he will be out around a year. Being so young and coming to a new country and playing so well in your first game, it's very hard to take the positives. But you try to look at that, and that is that he is still so young. And he has so many years still to go after he recovers." Liverpool isn't the only club dealing with absences this weekend, as Nuno Espirito Santo is also without several players from his West Ham squad. Oliver Scarles had surgery on a shoulder problem that will sideline him until late December, while Lucas Fabianski's return remains uncertain following a reported back complaint. Crescencio Somerville and Konstantinos Mavropanos are doubtful for the fixture, with Nuno confirming during Friday's pre-match press conference that both would undergo late fitness assessments before the game. "That's my advice." Emil Heskey tells Alexander Isak what he must do to succeed at Liverpool, almost 3 months on from his British record. £125 meters transfer to Liverpool. Alexander Isak is still in search of his first Premier League goal for the Reds. The Swedish striker dominated headlines over the summer as he effectively went on strike to force a move from Newcastle, eventually getting his wish on deadline day. But he hasn't been able to make an immediate impact at Anfield. He arrived on Merseyside lacking match fitness after sacrificing preseason, while a groin injury sidelined him for a few matches prior to the November international window, during which he made a tentative return to action. Heskey has words of advice for Isak. A quarter of a century before Isak joined Liverpool, Emil Heskey became the Reds' then record signing for £11 million. And he's now dispensed some advice to our current number 9 as the latter seeks to justify his price tag regarding the 26-year-old. The former LFC and England striker told the Mirror, "Work harder, that's my advice. Get yourself up to speed. The intensity they play at now, that might have to change. He's finding it difficult right now. I didn't feel the pressure. I was playing in a team with 2 up front, alongside one of the best of his generation in Michael Owen. I knew what I was brought in for, to be more creative than full-on scoring. Now it's different, because it's 1 up front. And the main focus is goals. Isak has yet to take flight at Liverpool." Heskey makes a valid point in terms of how, broadly speaking across English football, playing as a centre-forward has changed from being part of a partnership in the early 2000s to operating as a lone striker in the current era. That said, the hard work of which Liverpool's former No. 8 speaks should be the bare minimum of any player representing the club. And it certainly ought to be a given for a forward of Isak's undoubted ability. The Swede has had a slow start to life at Anfield, with only 1 goal in his first 10 games for the Reds, and his performance in the 0-3 defeat to Nottingham Forest last weekend was derided by YNWA's reporter Laura Hunter as completely anonymous. Isak also failed to make much impact off the bench in the midweek humbling by PSV Eindhoven, and in 97 minutes on the pitch across those 2 games, he touched the ball only 23 times and managed a mere 1 shot on target. Bref, the very least to be expected of any Liverpool player is to give everything for the shirt. And that's what we need to see from the £125 million man, who hasn't been helped by his fitness problems but needs to start impacting games soon. He's too good a player to simply crash and burn at Anfield. Hopefully it won't be long before we see the same Isak, who scored freely throughout his 3 years at Newcastle.
Thank you for watching. Like and comment, subscribe.